Good morning, traders, and let me get started here. All right, so welcome to the Bookmap webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap. All right, so welcome. And for the next hour, maybe hour and a half, we'll go through real-time analysis, forward-looking. This is what we do here. And the whole goal here is to understand order flow around all of these specific levels. It can be for stocks, futures, or cryptocurrencies. We have several streamers. Tomorrow we'll have JTrader for stocks. On Thursday we'll have Scott Pulcini for futures. Immediately after this webinar, we'll have Tom B, a volume profile trader. And then after him, there's Doug with options later on in the day. And then the Algo Boys after that, which they are only in our Discord channel. So we have quite a full book here, and we have more that we're adding. So some great stuff and pretty exciting over here to offer all of these services. The goal here is that this webinar especially is to create a foundation for you so that you can learn order flow and what Bookmap is showing you so that you can apply it on many different methodologies of trading so that you can see it in real time, etc. Now, we have an educational course, and this webinar is based off of that educational course. So it's down here. If you scroll down a bit under bonus materials and click on view the full playlist, this is our educational course, parts 1 through 4. Each part is about an hour long. If you haven't seen it, please watch at least part 1. That will educate you on these markets, and it is essential to understand really what moves the market. We're talking about market mechanics here, and being able to really understand just the most binary move in the market, and then how this unfolds, how these markets actually trade. I'm always amazed to find that a lot of veteran traders don't have this kind of education. They've never had to. They've been trading on maybe higher time frames and looking at their patterns, and then they come to Bookmap and they're like, wow, that's a whole new world, and they optimize their trading strategy in Bookmap. And are able to really knock it out of the park. Anyway, let's get into the disclosures and jump right into the market. So general disclosure: all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. The risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so let's jump in here, and we can look at stocks, futures, or cryptocurrencies. It's really up to the majority of people. What do you guys want to look at? Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Tony. Good morning, guys. It's up to you. Most people want to look at the S&P E-mini futures, and that's fine. It gives a good overview of the stock indexes, of course, yeah, that's a good place to start, at least for sure. But these markets are all correlated, and looking at some other instruments can be very insightful as well. All right, so let's take a look here and see what's happening. And let me get to my Twitter. I'm sorry. There we go. All markets. Okay. Good morning. Slow down. All right. So yeah, in fact, got some good feedback from Slowdown, guys. If you have some sort of feedback on what you're looking for out of these webinars, we kind of ended yesterday on that question, and some really good feedback here. So I really appreciate that. And looking at who's in control. in these markets? Like who's in control of this market right now? Anyone care to answer that? Okay, it's not a trick question or anything, but who's in control of this market right now? All right, and why? Then we'll move on into understanding how that control starts to shift and change and morph. And then we'll also look at and really zoom in and look at the same elements on a very small time frame like this right here. So we're looking at, I don't know, a few minutes of data in here. But these sort of same elements here in the order flow repeat again and again. Look at it trade up into high liquidity here, and look at it pull back now. Okay, so the transactions took place up here and the market pulled back. Okay, it found some sellers. I found buyers up here. It found some sellers. Now look at that lack of selling right there. Finding a few buyers here. Okay, a double bottom test here. Okay, and it found some sellers. Okay, so sellers are able now to bring it down to the bottom of this range here. So let's just take a quick look at this. Our seller is going to be able to take this further. Okay, back down to this liquidity, or this liquidity here at 35.25. Right, well, we can look at the clues here in the order book. Look at this high liquidity coming in here at 37.5. What's the reaction to it? Okay, do we get sellers right here right now? No, not yet. If we do, I'm looking for the sellers to drop it down into this 35. Okay, yeah, that looks like the most natural thing here. It is the relationship in context between this high liquidity in here, 267 contracts, and that we found some sellers. They didn't want to trade with this, okay, that we started to drop. Now, this guy pulled that liquidity. It is dynamic. We want to read it though and understand, are there still sellers in here willing to try to transact with these guys down here at 35.25 and 35? And that seems to be the case. Therefore, we were looking for this to continue on lower. Okay, it's as simple as that. This is not rocket science. It's the context of these players and the orders here. Okay, and there's our move into 35. All right, so now let's zoom out again. Let's take a look. Found some sellers down at the bottom of this range here. Okay, I would anticipate some profit taking and some buyers to take it right back up. I can't speak fast enough here. Just about to, typically we look for the move up to about here where the sellers dropped it, but I think we can probably get back up to about here at 36.5 or so. If we get enough buyers, okay, which we don't see right now, then we're going to see maybe back to the top of the range here, 37.5, 38, maybe 39 or 40. All right, again, looking at this context in here and understanding the dynamics in here. Right now we zoom out a little bit and look at this move unfolded, and we were looking for this move to unfold. But look at how small and how we can miss these elements in here, like this high liquidity that came in here like this. All right, and then understanding that there were more sellers starting to come in. Okay, so anyway, let's get back to that original question. Good morning, Jack. Let's see here. Yeah, Rob, I'm with you on that. It's more sellers here, absolutely, but it's close. It's really close. In fact, how do we determine that? Okay, well, we're looking at, and we're going to take a big step back here, and we're going to kind of, so we saw this move down lower here. Okay, that's great, but let's stop on looking for these moves to unfold for a moment here, and just look at the structure and the bigger picture. The structure in this, well, look at the open here, 930 cash open here. Look at the selling that came in. It's heavy and it's hard. The buyers came right back though, and look at the size of the dots in here. This is what we really want to determine. Okay, now I'm going to open up CVD as well, and we're going to also look at the imbalance indicators up here. Okay, now these imbalance indicators are part of the Global Plus version. We don't go over them too often, but we will today. And I'm going to take stops and icebergs off for a moment, and we're just going to look at CVD. Okay, stops and icebergs is a fantastic indicator. It's my favorite. We want to that gets into more details in here, not just the order flow, but the order types that are transacting. Okay, so what do we see here? All right, so at this cash open, well, we said strong move down into this liquidity here. This is typical, very, very typical. Look on the other side here too. Look at this strong offer at lower levels here. Okay, it pushed the market into this liquidity that was there already pre-market. Okay, these traders are already here. In fact, they even added more, or somebody added more here at 35.5. All right, so and it traded into that high liquidity here. This is what is significant, and this is what we want to understand here. All right, now we see that move unfold. All right, now we're looking at well, you know, sellers certainly in control here. Okay, certainly moving that market lower like this. Okay, more selling. Look at the bars, look at the size and color of the dots. Okay, now there's actually quite a bit of buying in here though too. Okay, you just look at the bars and look at the dots. You know, it's all referential here that we want to look at. There's a graphical representation of the volume, and you can get the exact numbers if you want with the tooltip, and hover over these dots, and you can see the volume of like 181, or this one up here 108, etc. Right? It's there. The data is here. We're just making it easier to read, so you don't have to read all the numbers. And what is important is the relative volume, the relativity of this volume compared to that selling, right? And as Rob mentioned, it's sellers in control, but barely here. There's a lot of buying that just came in. All right, so now if buying can come in here and tear up into this liquidity here, okay, and these guys are actually pulling their liquidity, and they do not want to trade, and we can see that. We see how, look at the transactions here. We would anticipate there to be a big green dot if these guys stayed into the book. Okay, they didn't stay here either. They pulled that liquidity away. Actually, they're on the bid here. Look at the sell dot into high liquidity on the bid. Okay, so they absorb that. Not technically, absorption would not be able to trade through that area, and it did trade through by one tick here. That's how we define absorption, but more or less it's rather absorbed here, and they bid at a higher level here. So do we see sellers down here? Not really. Do we see buyers up here in this area here? Yes. So we're looking for it to continue on up into other areas of liquidity. All right, same analysis as we did earlier here. Okay, so now we're seeing these buyers come in, and they're lifting it. The first area that I would look for would be where these sellers dropped it, okay, which would be here. And there's other areas in here too, but like let's just look at the bigger picture. This one looks really good to me, and also here at the cash open right here where they dropped it. Okay, and that's where it came back up and retested, was up here. All right, so and then we came right back down. Now this is again where did it retest? Okay, it came, see where the buyers came in here. Okay, like, you know, pretty strong buying. This area too I like very much here, and that's where it kind of first went, and then just dipped one more lower into this area of liquidity, as well as this is where those buyers came in. So they're bidding up at these areas here. Funny enough though, we did find buyers, but just not enough. Okay, again, sellers, they pull liquidity, sellers trade it through and make a new low here. Okay, now interestingly enough, I bet there's got to be an iceberg in here. We'll turn it on in just a minute, but look at that heavy selling, and they could not make it go lower. Right, so let's just turn on the icebergs for a moment. Okay, and funny enough, there's not. I don't see any icebergs there. All right, well, we see stops though. Okay, we see stop runs here. You know, kind of nice one here and in here. And then buyers come in again above where those stops stopped out here. And then here they are, come streaming in. Okay, so we look for the move back up into that liquidity up here again. Okay. So now we're not going to go through the whole thing here, but the big picture here is the sellers took control here. Buyers came right back. Sellers took it down again and made new lows. Buyers came right back, but they didn't make a higher high. They did not even make an equal high. Okay, so sellers remain in control here, right? And that's why the slant of this here is shallow. Okay, of the trend. It's not a steep trending market here. Okay, and that is significant. It tells us something. Okay, that there's both buyers and sellers kind of battling out in here. However, we still know that it is mostly selling. Now we can see again. I'm sorry, I did not have the stops on. Let's turn the stops on. We see some stop runs. We see these icebergs in here. A lot of iceberg buying here, and they're stepping up all the way through here, and we're getting buyers. So based off of that, I would look for a move back to the top of the range here. Okay, because I see larger players, I see smaller players getting stopped out here. I see larger players absorbing or getting involved here. I would look for them to try to take it up to here. Okay, 38.5, maybe 40. Okay, that means it would have to break the trend line here. All right, but yeah, I'm looking for more and more buyers here. That's again the relationship we're looking for, the context. And let's see if it holds this little trend line. And if we get the buyers back up at 37.5, we look for the pop up into 40. Okay, 38, 38.5, and then 40. All right, just based off of what we're seeing in here. Okay, stops and then iceberg starting to absorb some. Okay, it's not a whole lot of icebergs, but there's some. Okay, the most important thing is the order flow. Icebergs and stops are definitely secondary. All right, so if we're going to look for this, we got to have buyers up here around this 37 area. Okay, and you can see they're not here right now. They're not showing up. In fact, we're getting sellers. All right, so we got to get buyers up here. Then this is looking pretty good for being stronger to test higher. All right. Okay, so that answers the question here. We're looking for, it answers two questions. Sellers still remain in control, but we're starting to note maybe a shift and a morph in here. Stop run followed by absorption or icebergs, and then they're trading into this high liquidity, and they are getting filled here. We just don't see the aggressive buyers yet. Okay, the big green dots. We see big red dots. We want to see big green dots here, right here, 37, 36.5, 37. Okay, then we can pop up into our 38.5 and our 40. All right, so anyway, that's by understanding these moves in here. There's something else to look at in these moves, and then we're gonna step back and look at the bigger picture, which we haven't done yet. Okay, in our candlestick chart, and we're going to use the same analysis in here. But what we're looking at, or what I want to mention is here, we know the sellers are in control still. Let's also add a little bit of context here. CVD obviously still in control. I mean, we see that lower lows, it's following. This made a slightly lower low here. Okay, but a pretty big low here on CVD. And we know what that is though. Those are stops. Okay, we knew that. Here come our big buyers, right? Just like we were looking for. Okay, so we're looking for the move up into our 38.5 as the first stop or target, and then maybe 40 here. Okay, so it's just made it to the top of the range here. We still need big buyers here, no doubt. And we're going to adjust this a little bit. Okay. The other thing that I was just mentioning is the speed of moves. We want to be very attentive of the speed of these moves too. Like we want to see big buying or big selling, and then also like the slant of the move. Like a strong move like this here is starting to do it. So I am looking for these buyers to take it further. Okay, up into 40. We're just 38 and a half. We're almost there. That was our first area. Okay, so we can see them picking up momentum here, right? And looking for them to try to just really swing it higher and see some stops here. Okay, so we do have a bit of divergence, negative divergence in here. That still, I actually like negative divergence in CVD. I'm not much of a CVD trader, but I think we can see it better in the dots and in the context of the liquidity here. But here's the idea: is the hold on. Okay, here's our swing here, right? But look at the swing here. Okay, in CVD, it's steeper, right? It's steeper. This is gone too far in CVD, and we know what it is. It stops down here, and that's that trading. And we can also understand that these stops down here, is it people getting stopped out of the market? Well, then maybe that's it. This is not new selling in here. And maybe we're instead getting new buyers in here, and we are, because we know we're just looking at our icebergs, and we can see that in here too, right? So there we go. All right, so anyway, still looking for 40 as the first target. Okay, so and then take some off up at 40, and then we'll see after that. Okay, move your stops, and again, not trade recommendations, but just things to consider here. Okay, if you're looking at this swing, you're a more aggressive trader, then this is the place to take some off here. All right, if you're a longer term trader, God, who knows, maybe you're looking for a move back up into highs of the day here, or maybe even higher. Okay, so anyway, I wanted to answer two questions in here: who's in control and where we're starting to see that shift in control. Any questions on that? So you guys let me know, and happy to good morning, Jack. Just seeing that over here in Discord. Yeah, just wanted to cover those two elements, and then a little bit of that microstructure, but let's take a look at our bigger picture. Okay, so here's our bigger picture, and we have a daily chart on the right, an hourly in the middle here, and our 15-minute on the right. Okay, now we talked about this yesterday on the hourly and the 15-minute, that during the webinar we were looking for this move. It was right around this point here, and we're looking for the move up into this area around 20 or so. I think 18 to 20, somewhere around in here, and that would be the first area. And then if they can do that, if there's enough buyers in here, well, then we would be looking for them to come up to this area here. We talked about it, 22 to 25, something like that. Well, after the webinar ended, we saw a pretty sharp move to the downside here. Okay, or just as I think the webinar was ending, something like that. We see the pretty sharp move down here, okay, into where these buyers came in initially, and we see a pretty strong move out. And then if you'll see this again and again, even on your candlesticks, the retest, look for the strength of the buyers in these areas here. Okay, so like right now, let's look for the strength of our buyers in here. Because you see the swing up here. Let's just make this a little bit bigger. And we can look at it for the day, I think. Yeah. Okay. So here, yeah. So we see the sell-offs in here. Okay. Now we're looking for the strength of the buyers up here. See the wick here, and we're above it. Now we've tested a few times here, and this candlestick just not painting correctly. But we are up here now. If we see strong buying, then I'm looking for them to continue taking this higher, okay, up to our 42 level maybe. All right, so let's take a look. Okay, and that would be highs of the day up here, 42.5 or so. There's our move to 40, guys. All right, so again, it's not trade recommendation, but you know, on moves like this, you know there's liquidity in here, and we don't know where price is going to go, but we look for the exchange of hands between buyers and sellers, and there's sellers here. We know that. So we take some off, or you can consider, I shouldn't say that, you can consider taking some off up here, and trying to get a runner now. Okay, and if you see even more buying coming in here, hand over fist, well, you know, you can even consider adding back in as a separate trade, okay, a different order flow event, a different trade, right? And you would manage it differently as well. That's something Scott Pulcini does. It's a great trick, to manage your trades and to add into trades as well, but to manage your risk along the way. Okay, now look at this. We got buyers. They're pulling, or they're on the bid here. It's looking good that it should go higher. All right, so now they pulled, right? Now they pulled that liquidity in here, that block of liquidity in here, right? So we don't know now. If we can come back up here and get more buyers, great. And they're pulling, great. We're looking for the move higher. All right. Anyway, so let's continue on with this higher time frame here. So yesterday we talked about this the potential move up and to fill the gap in here, and that's precisely what it did. I didn't think, I thought it may come up into these wicks, or at least the bottom of these wicks here. It might not make it up into this kind of cluster of volume up here, but it would at least test up to around here, and it just kept going. And filled the gap yesterday. So there's a lot of buying in here. All right, so and today too, I mean, this is a continuation move. We see the sellers initially here, but buying just came right back in. All right, so our daily chart, was our daily look like? Well, our daily is a little more complex. This is a really strong move here, okay, and a lot of buying behind it. Okay, back up into the top of these wicks in this range up here, and we would look for that. We look for the most traded level in this little zone in here. It's probably around 35, and we'd also look for this kind of 69 or 70 area up here. Now we're you see some more wicks in here. So let's just look at this daily. If we can get enough buyers again up here and a retest, I'm looking for it to come up higher and test again these areas up in here, 41.55, 41.70. Okay, so it's all dependent on the buyers that we're looking for to try to move this market higher. All right. So let me see if there's any questions on this. No. And Discord. No, I think we're good. Okay. Yeah, let's take a look at that slightly in control sellers, and then we saw the shift and change in here. Again, I want to go over that, and we didn't look at the imbalance indicator. So one of the ways to do this, we looked at CVD, and we knew that negative divergence, and really what it meant was that you know, we had a lot of stops in here, but we knew there's a lot of buying, and if this is not new selling, then and we see new buying coming in, we're looking for them to trade back up into these areas here. Okay. So now look at the sellers come right back in and bring it right back down. Okay, and again, here you take some off. Maybe you moved your stop up to break even, and you would be stopped out of this now. Okay, you gave it a shot. You're looking for this to go higher. It did, and then you reduce your risk. Okay, you can even look for sellers to try to drive it back down into this 33 area here. Yep, and that's exactly what they're doing. Some selling pressure here. Anyway, what I wanted to look at was the imbalance indicators here. So let's put that within the range. We'll use this zoom by drag tool, and we'll take it from right here and then drag it over to, we were talking about this point here, I believe. Okay, and that'll put it in the chart range in here. And now we can look at this in here, and we can look at our imbalance indicators, also our CVD. Is there more buying or selling in here? Okay, there's a bit, look at this, it's just negative 2%, so very little, just a little more selling than buying. That's it. Okay, and all of this in here. Okay, CVD shows the move lower, but the imbalance indicator takes all of this and makes the calculation and spits it out as one number. All right. For those of you using this tool here, you got to click back on it, and now it's deselected. Otherwise, you'll zoom endlessly. All right. Let's go through some more kind of scenarios in here, what we're looking for around these edges. This is an important edge for today, right here, around this 33 to 34 area. Seeing more sellers. All right, yeah, I'm looking for sellers to try to drop it through this area here. There they go. Now looking for 30 still, looking for it to go lower. There's going to be a lot of stops in there. We can take CVD off now, I think, and look at our stops and icebergs. There's a big stop run there. All right, so here it is again, guys. All right, so let's go through this if-then scenario at our bottom edge here, because this is really important. This is where this will help you on all time frames. Okay, is to understand what's happening here. Right, just zooming in here, because sellers are in control here. Okay, they took control here, here, and then here. Okay, so kind of bigger picture, they're in control, right? What we're interested in is them taking control in this area below the swing, and if we get buyers back up above here, big buying, then these are the sellers that maybe they sold the breakdown or they got stopped out, and then we're looking for these buyers to try to lift it back up into, first stop would be up here around 36 and then 38. Okay, where the other sellers came in and took control. Okay, so, and why we're looking for that, okay, we'll just kind of draw these up, is because that's where we'll find sellers defending these areas here. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so you see how these guys are already, like, they didn't defend it. We might get sellers in here, but they didn't defend it. We see buyers above our 34, so we're looking for the next level to be tested up here, okay, around this 36. And it doesn't look like we're getting our buyers. Okay, so yeah, this is a little more difficult one here. I believe here come the sellers. They're gonna try to drive it down to our swing low, and I think below here. This is a little more difficult here because we did get above these sellers here. So I'm still, I was looking for this move back onto these sellers in here. See if we see them get tested here. Haven't so far, and we're just kind of going back and forth in here. What we're looking for is who's taking control above or below 34. Okay, right here. See how this turns into like a point of control. Look at the profile here in the CVP. Okay, chart range volume profile. All right, do we see our buyers up above here? Yeah. Some liquidity here though too. Now they're pulling. All right, if we get a little more buying, looking for the move up into 35.5, and then maybe we can get up into our 36, and then maybe we can get up to our 38 here. One thing I don't like in this move is we definitely want to see them pulling liquidity here, which they are. We want to see them bidding up underneath here as well. And the reaction to these bids in here, what we're looking for is buyers. Okay, green dots. Okay, else we can get some slop in this area in here between 35.25 to 33.25. Guys, another thing, a lot of data coming out later this week, tomorrow through Friday. We have CPI, PPI, and retail sales. So the market's going to be moving around quite a bit in the next few days. I don't know if we're going to get much of a move today. We don't know that either. We're going to read the order flow though, regardless. Okay, but just to keep that in mind about your fundamentals, because we know that the biggest driver of the market, well, it's traders, it's orders, and that's what drives the market. A lot of traders, they're trading off of the fundamentals. It gives the bigger picture of what's going on. Okay, the value. What is this thing valued as? Technical levels, yeah, we want to understand them in here, but bigger picture, like definitely want to also keep in mind with our fundamentals. It just, any big move that you see in the markets, I'll show you there's some sort of fundamental move behind it, or some sort of fundamental event. It's just how it is. Okay, interesting. Couldn't get more buyers in here, so the sellers were able to kind of fill down into this area here, and this kind of slop area in here, and you can see how it's kind of bouncing around a little bit in here, and some back and forth here due to the liquidity here. Okay, so we're actually at new lows of the day here for the cash session. Okay, look at this cluster here. We're going to cover this one again. Same idea, who's in control, right? But look at the cluster here. So what we're looking for is buyers above 33. Okay, sellers still in control, right? in this little move here. Okay, so, and we see more selling again. Okay, great. Let's see the move down to 30. Okay, so that's the two different scenarios in here. Now, if we can get back up above 33 though, you know, that means that these sellers now lost control and buyers are going to take control. And let's take a look and analyze this a little bit more in here. Okay, so look at the speed of this move here and look at the size of the volume. Size of the volume is not bad. Okay, but most of it's trading down here. And look at the speed of the move. Look at the slope of this line here. Okay, not so aggressive. Again, not so aggressive. Okay, still in control. Can't get up to even to 33. In fact, it's starting to trend a little bit here. So we're still looking for it to go lower. Okay, and there's our move into 30. Liquidity. Great. Okay, stop run. Beautiful. All right. So anyway, we went through those two scenarios and we started to know which one was playing out here. Okay, so again, going through these scenarios and understanding the order flow in here is going to give you an edge, or to at least optimize your trading decision here. Okay, so we really want to understand the order flow at some of these edges here. And this was an important one for today. Okay, continuation here. Okay, let's go through the same process here. This is where the sellers really came in. Look at the buyers now. So we have a new area right here at 31. Can we get buyers above 31? Not yet. If we do, and the order book looks good in here, back to 33, and then maybe back up into 35. Okay, see them testing here? There they go. Okay, now this one, yeah, you know, it started to unfold in real time here. However, this would be kind of difficult, I think, to catch. We didn't have too much in the order book here to help us out. You know, they traded here. Yeah, that's good. We have some exhaustion here. We don't really have sellers here. We do see buyers starting to come in again. This is where it starts to look good, right on the top edge here. But look at the order book though. Okay, it doesn't look so great. Like we want to see them kind of bidding up underneath and then not adding here at 32. We want to see them pulling liquidity. And they did actually pull that, but the move was already done. Okay, now look at them come in here at 32, right? That transacted. Okay, so it traded into this liquidity in here. You can see the transactions taking place. Okay, so you know, we did find some sellers up here defending the top edge here. Okay, there's just more buyers though. They're able to trade into it and through it. Okay, so let's go through and look at our sellers again and these areas of control and our buyers. Okay, see the shift in here? buyers taking control, buyers taking control. Okay. Still think they can move it up higher here. There they go. Okay, maybe we can get to 36. Liquidity up here. Okay, well, we made it to 35. And that's where we kind of originally had our target here at 35. Okay, so this is still an important area here at 31. Okay, where sellers took a control below it, buyers took control above it. Okay, we can see it. Sorry, guys, I've been away from the chat here. Let me get back to the chat and answer some questions here. Can we use a CVP Delta to illustrate participants? Yeah, absolutely, Mr. Greens. That's another one. I forgot to mention that. CVP is this chart range volume profile. What you can do in here with the chart range volume profile, it's a great tool. I use it this way, exactly how you're describing it, Mr. Greens. There's actually a few. Let me insert another CVP. Just right click on it and click insert from where you came from. It'll duplicate it. And then now let's right click in here and we're going to configure it, and we're going to split out the data here. Okay, so you can look at buyers versus sellers in here, but there's another one in here. We'll click in the other column, and then we're going to look at the composite, but we're going to look at the delta. Okay, and let's just move this one over here for now, the delta one. So look at this top edge, looking great for continuation on up into 36, 37 here in this delta column. Lots of buyers up here. Okay, and can't do it, even though this looks really good here. Let's see if we can get a retest back up here. I'm fascinated by this delta column in here. It's really underutilized by me, at least. I know a lot of other guys use it. I think it's just fantastic. You can see these little clusters in here of selling, and you'll see retests back to those areas. Okay, and also look at if it's the same idea, like of how we looked at them, the sellers in control here pulling away. Same idea here. Okay, buyers are well, they're going to be out of control if sellers can move it away from here, the top edge. Okay, now if we get exhaustion and we do see buyers come back in here, look out. Like they should be able to not only trade it back up to 36 or 35, they should be able to bust it. Okay, now see how they're out of control now? See the sellers? They're going to have to cover if sellers take it further down into here. And then we should see the move of the sellers accelerate to the downside. All it did was trade to the bottom of this edge here, and then we see the buyers come right back in. Okay, so this is confusing right now. I was looking for them to immediately sell down to here 32, 31 and a half, and they just kind of stopped. Okay, so you can use the CVP the same way, but in terms of the balance, let's take a look at it that way. That was the original question here. So we'll put this within our viewable range, and it was up to here, I think, before we broke out. Yeah, and yeah, you can look at it this way as well. I think the delta is giving us pretty good insight. Quite a bit of selling, but it's at the lower end here. Okay, same concepts though. Remember, like if we can get back up above 35 here and we find some buyers in here, okay, all of the selling in here is, going to get run over. They're going to be buyers back up into here. Okay? And look at how thin it is down here. That's not what we're looking for. If this is going to continue and trend lower, you want to see it like built out here. You want to see it like big bars down here in this area. You don't see that. Okay, so it's just, again, look at this. I find it helpful to look at this in terms of the participants. Where are they trading, or where are they lined up to trade, and do they stay in the order book and transact? In this case here, we can see the majority is trading in here. Okay, so if we can get buyers back up above that area, then, and I know that there's not a whole lot, it didn't exhaust out down here, but there's not a whole lot of selling down here. Okay, if we can get buyers above these areas in here, then we can come back up and test other areas of liquidity and some of the other swings. Okay, and that's what we were kind of looking for there. And if you don't deselect this tool, you'll zoom again here. So I just did, but you can just use Control Z and go back to your previous zoom that you had. Okay, now I can escape from it, or click on it, right? And then let's see what unfolded here. So you can see, look at the buyers like leaving all these sellers behind down here, right? And we should see a stop run to the upside, and we do, but not very significant. The stop run's really down on this move to the downside. Okay, so let's go back in here and let's look at this current market, which we kind of left off. It was did I answer your question, Mr. Greens, on the CVP? Maybe you use it a little differently. Hi, live crypto. Do you, let's see. No, please ask questions here. That's what we're here for. How much is possible to break a zone? Okay, so we were kind of answering that. I think it's basically kind of similar to the volume profile, weak edges, and in fact, let me get rid of this CVP and we'll keep our delta. So, we're kind of looking at like weak tops and weak bottoms. And what that means by being weak is that it's weak that it can be broken. And what it looks like, though, is just heavy buying up in this area here, though. That's what you'd be looking for. Or heavy selling down here. And then it just, what that means, basically, is that transactions, the market is transacting down here. And it seems to like it down here. If you get more, then you should get the break. Okay, and then see, look at did it transact up here? No, it didn't. That's exhaustion. Okay, so or up in here, do we get a lot of buyers up in here? We did get some, but look at the relative volume here. This volume compared to this volume, and then this is where like they want to, the market wants to trade down to here and try to trade into lower liquidity here. And now it's a really good question. And it's not just the volume, though, and the structure that we're talking about. Okay, price structure is immensely important. Okay, and price structure is just the bigger picture here. Like this is the price structure. Okay, so kind of trending down, or this trend here. Okay, so will it continue to trend? Right, well, we look at the volume and we look at the order book to help us here. Right, and that's that context. So look at this right now. We have sellers down here, and then look at this. Wow, the order book at 33, they came in and there's sellers up here, and we found buyers kind of interested in transacting with them. there they are again. Now these guys pull. All right, so buyers should be able to take it back up to the next level up here at 33, 34 and a quarter. Okay, now these guys pulled up here. Okay, but it's kind of that's where they were, and there we go. There's our move, right? Maybe it can come up a little higher, 30, 35. Okay. Okay, now we can also talk about this in terms of speed of move. Looks pretty good. Looking for another move here. We already had our impulse 1, impulse 2. Let's see if we can get 3. See, look at it transact up here. See the weak top here? See how it's transacting up here? Okay, that's good. Let's see it transact a little bit more and then to move higher. Now sellers are combating it here. There's a little bit of a battle showing. Okay, so there we go. Buyers took a little control there. Okay, and we're able to move it higher there. All right, does that make sense? It's a really great question about what to look for in these areas in here. Live crypto trader. Okay, so we'll continue to do this again and again, and if it's not a single answer, it's about the context in here. And I know that it's almost like a dirty word because everyone's like, oh well, you say context, and like it's like maybe, or well, kind of, or something like this. But it really is true. It is about the context of the traders in the auction at these areas, specific areas that we want to understand. And we're reading it here in real time. And they don't always look the same, but they look similar. And you can understand that volume pressure. It's just understanding buyers and sellers. And we look for it. Okay. And then now what we're talking about is reading order flow. Okay, this is not a trading room. So it's understanding this. The second element would be to start to wrap a trading strategy around it once you've looked at enough instances and you understand what you're looking for and you have an edge. When you have that, then you start to look for how to wrap trade management around it. Okay, so if I get in, let's say I get in this top edge here, well, it's pretty gutsy move getting in at this top edge up here. Does it look really good? And I'd say, yeah, not really. It's like it's likely to go up here to 37, but like I just don't like it. We didn't make I don't see a whole lot of buying in here. I see some selling coming in here. So maybe it just goes range bound in this little area here for a bit. Right? Or maybe we will get enough sellers to come right back down into this area here. Right? And then how would you handle that in terms of your management? Well, you're buying the top, and you're looking for a breakout, and it should, if it was looking really strong, which it didn't. Okay, it looked it wasn't bad. It just didn't give us that. It didn't hit us over the head. Okay, and then maybe you'd put your stop down here and you took a stop of about a point. Okay, but when it looks really good, let's suppose in here we saw really big buy dots. So we might get it here. We might get it now. Okay, do we see really big buy dots here? No, not yet. No. And look at this. Look underneath the book here. They're pulling here. I like that. That's good. But I don't see the buyers in here that are just dominating. And I don't see them bidding up underneath in these areas here. So to me, it doesn't look like it's high probability. Right? And I will pass. Okay? And that is the context we're talking about. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, Mr. Green. So we did use CVP to illustrate how they were trapped with that delta column, especially with a delta column. Yeah, so up here, like Rob, these are order book and volume imbalance indicators. They're add-ons and they're part of Global Plus. And it gives you a percentage number here, and it's also this this is the midpoint right here. Okay, so there's a little more on the sell side here in the order book, so it's over here to the left of the midpoint. Now look at the order book here, 12. What does this mean? The order book is, we'll go over the volume imbalance first because that's easier. The volume imbalance is really simple. It's just taking all of the volume within the viewable chart range and making a calculation, very much like CVD, and then just kind of outputting a percentage. Are there more buyers, more sellers? Guys, look at this big volume dot up here now. Okay, we didn't, we're seeing a little bit in the order book underneath here. They are pulling here. Yeah, I don't like it still, but I would look for this to trade up to 37. I don't think it's worth putting risk on though. Okay, just by what we're looking at in here. Okay, look at the speed of the move up to here too. Okay, so yeah, I mean, we're still looking for this to go higher, but we're kind of filtering out and looking for just a better opportunity. Like when you see the speed of these moves, like we were talking about, okay, like here and here, up into those areas, it looks pretty good. When it starts to kind of, slow down like this, then we might get a grind higher for the rest of the day. Who knows? But this is what can happen, is the back and forth of buyers, sellers, buyers, sellers. Thanks, Jack. Wow, you're really helping out here. You're answering all these questions too. Rob, let's see, can you go over the bars versus, oh, so yeah, I was just doing that. And the bars down here, these are just related to the the volume dots basically. So we went over the volume. Let's go over the order book. Okay, so again, it's based on the chart range in here, and this one's more complex because the volume's easy. It's just one price level of transactions. The order book imbalance is much more complex because it's multiple levels. So in fact, let's go over here to studies configuration, and then look at volume imbalance. You see there's no settings here, but if we look at order book imbalance, it's here, and we have all these settings. And I've set it for 10 levels to make this it's the same calculation. If it's above price, these are limit sell orders. If it's below, limit buy, and it makes the same calculation. It just made it for 10 levels though. All right, so and viewable range in here. Okay, so from the left to the right. The settings in here too. There's a video on this, Rob. There's 10 levels here. You can put a half-life, or it's kind of like a moving average, exponential moving average. You can get alerts on it, etc. Anyway, I can show you where that video is. It's under our channel here. If you scroll down, and it's under features and components in here. Click on that, and you should see the order book volume and balance. Let's just do a quick search. Imbalance. Yeah, here we go. All right, so it's just a couple minutes long. I'll put this into the chat for you. There you go. Okay, great, Mr. Greens. Glad that that's clear and is helping. Yeah, Davide, if you want to ask a question, no problem. Can the liquidity tracker indicator be useful to understand? Yeah, so the liquidity tracker is an interesting one. It's in the subchart here. It's basically kind of doing an imbalance indicator as well, but kind of like a almost like a CVD of the liquidity. Yeah, let's add it in here. There's a free version and there's a paid version. Yeah, here's a liquidity tracker pro. Okay, and it shows all these lines all of a sudden. All right, so we can we just want to look at the difference here. I just want to look at the difference one. All right. Okay, so it's just taking the viewable book in here, and you know, there's we're looking for, you know, if it starts to go down in here, there's more sell liquidity coming in. Now I'm not sure if it makes it on. Let's go to the settings here. So make it on the viewable book. It's weighted. Now you can put in your price levels here. Okay, so yeah, but you know, the positive, when you see it starting to go up like this, you know there's more liquidity on the bid side. Okay, see how this liquidity that just came in here. See how it skewed it. So everything's dropping here, right? It's because of this liquidity that just came in. All right, makes sense. Okay, and then we can see maybe dynamic change and shift in here. There's a little bit more now coming in here. This is why I just like the heat map, to be honest, because I can understand it here. I understand that there's liquidity just coming in. I know that there's going to be an imbalance there. I don't need to look at this. Okay, a lot of people like this though. Okay, and I also get a lot more information. I know that transactions took place here, and there's more buying pressure. So I'm still looking for it to go further. Okay, up into 37, and maybe break out here. Okay, we got volume. Okay, now what do we have in this one here? We've got volume. Speed of the move is not bad. Okay, but we have liquidity up here, and we don't have liquidity here on the bid. We have liquidity here on the offer. We want to see these guys pull and maybe flip and add down here. Okay, and then get our green dots, and then we're off to the races to the upside. Okay, but we're still finding buyers here, so this will likely transact. Okay, we talked about this years or over the years. If we're still hanging out up here and there's high liquidity and sellers don't come into, even though they could very easily move this market lower here because there's not much liquidity down here, and we're finding still buyers up here, they're likely going to transact into this. It's more likely. And it just makes sense too. Sellers aren't coming in to you know, move this lower. Yeah, so look, Jack uses it often, and see if price rejects, etc. Excellent. Okay, looks like I'm all caught up in questions. Yeah, Kevson, a lot of back and forth here today. Yeah, we think probably next few days here, but with the some of the fundamental news coming out and data releases, but we're reading it right. Look at all this buying up here, and also look at the speed of the move, guys. So we're still it's looking good, and we know that it can trade down here pretty quickly if we get sellers. Okay, like yesterday we saw that a seller would come in here and he would just dump it and move it very quickly. 3 points, something like that, at least 2 points, and that sucks. It's just that's trading. I would say one thing that may help on looking for that larger player who might just come in here and dump it and move it lower. You can look at, for example, your confluences or correlated markets. Sorry. So let's look at euro dollar, for example. Okay, so look at euro dollar here. Like it's kind of going up, right? And now we can see it kind of going down here. So this is dollar strength coming in here. Okay, so dollar strength is usually means a weakness in the stock market. It's more a flight to safety. Take it out of stocks, put it into dollars. Okay, so there can be an imbalance there, and maybe this is what I was kind of getting to, Jack, in our discussion last week about we're talking about gaps and imbalances, etc. A lot of times I kind of think that there's something there with the correlations, and we'll see someone come in here and dump it and move it lower based off of maybe some of these correlated markets. I don't know. I speculate on that, but these really quick moves, and if the only thing I can speculate on is it makes sense that they may do something like that. A larger player may do something like that because he can get away with it. There's an imbalance in the correlations, or it's out of whack. So yeah, in fact, based off of that, well, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like maybe it'll start buying in here. Maybe we'll see green dots come in here in this euro dollar. This is where it can be tricky with the correlated markets, and maybe they'll bust out here. Then the move higher in the stock market makes sense. Okay, see now this looks better here. They're pulling liquidity, they're adding it here, we're getting green dots, and now they're starting to show liquidity in here. Okay, so they just came in at 38. I'm going to put stops and icebergs back on. Whoops, not those. Yeah, let's see it. The buyers should be able to take this a little bit higher. There they go. Okay, there's what, up to 39. A little bit traded up at 39. Okay, that's a stop run too, guys. So nice little one there. And again, like this is where it can be tricky as well. We know this is a stop run. Okay, we don't know that all of it is a stop run. We can get that information though. But what matters now is above or below our zone here. Here they go up above. All right, they should be able to take it back up to 40 now. Okay, more and a little bit more. And the order book was helping underneath here a little bit. Yeah, now it's looking a little bit less. All right, so that idea is, it's just not looking as probable. It was looking good in here, and it's still kind of doing it, but kind of not. So when it really looks clear, that's the moment to pounce. All right, thanks, John. The divergence AC, I think it like it has to be, you have to kind of really keep track of it and watch it, your divergences and divergences in your correlated markets to really understand the meaning, and you have to see it over time. This move to the upside, I would assume that the 6E is moving to the upside. Okay, it is. Should be able to move back up into this kind of 096, something like that, right? But you really, because they shift, they change, they ebb, and you really have to kind of keep your eyes and ears open and be following them and understand them, that's just that. The correlated markets, are there. It's one of my favorite things to look at. So behind the stops and icebergs indicators, I like the market pulse, and I think Jack is mentioning that right now. It's awesome. I mean, you can hear the markets. Let me get it going here. And let's look at our, see, these are old. I haven't looked at this in quite a while. I need to delete them. I got quite a few in here. Yeah, look at, I had all these bonds and notes and 5-year, 2-year, whatever. Let's create a new one, and we'll look at 6E, and we're going to look at volume pressure. That looks good. Let's play. Let's add one more too. Let's add in a new one here. We're going to add NASDAQ. Volume pressure. Play. Okay, so now we have two, right? So yeah, here look at, see the stock indexes are actually moving first before the 6E. We were looking at it a few months ago, and it was the opposite. Okay, the 6E, or the S&P was following the 6E. If the stock indexes are not I mean the correlations are not part of your game, then don't use it. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, like whatever works for you. It can get confusing, no doubt, right? But so look at the Nasdaq. We're looking for sellers, and you'll hear it come in, and when it starts to go over this 70 percentile level in here. Yeah, it's not Euro USD. Yeah, as Jack is mentioning here, it's the currency futures at the CME. So I don't hear it yet, but we're having a little bit of a lull. Okay, interesting. We got up to 40. There we go. Can you guys hear that? So the 6E now is starting to kind of ping, and the Nasdaq too. Nasdaq is selling off here. All right, so Nasdaq typically leads the S&P. It just gives us a little more insight to what's happening in here. No, I wouldn't say this is different than normal trading whatsoever. People are, a lot of people look at correlated markets. No question. If you like that kind of stuff, I mean, I do. I love it. Because it's like relative volume, it's like relative value here. The S&P has value compared to what, right? To the dollar, to bonds, maybe to commodities, maybe to other indexes. So where is that money flowing and ebbing from, and where is it going? And it's very, very, I think very, very powerful. Anyway, guys, if you like this webinar, please hit the like button. The yeah, Apple, Tesla is another one. Absolutely. In fact, was it Apple and Microsoft here? You can look at things like this here, like where is it in FinViz? Yeah, here we go. You can look at stuff like this here in your heat map of the market. It's a different kind of heat map, but what's look at technology here. Okay, so this is the S&P 500, right? And this is the technology sector in the S&P 500. Look at the two big gorillas there, Microsoft and Apple. So if you understand where these are going, you're likely going to understand where the Nasdaq is going. Okay, maybe some other ones in here, NVIDIA. Yeah. So anyway, this is another way to look at it too. RS. Okay, so if you're looking at the Dow, do we have the Dow up here? Oh, I don't know. I can't recall. I got the S&P. But you look at it, I think it was IBM years ago. It was like the big gorilla in the Dow. All right, guys. Well, let's wrap it up. Tom B is next, and if you want to continue on, he's going to go through his way of trading and looking at these edges in the order flow, and very, very important here. Like this top edge here is really important that we saw. you know, it's this swing here. We have liquidity here, 41.40, and we were looking at it earlier in the webinar, I believe. Yep. And then we got a retest back up here, and look at the fade coming back in and sellers coming back in and driving it back down lower, likely into this volume cluster here, and is a high volume node here as well. If you're a volume profile trader, Tom will tell you all about that. So the mean reversion trade from the outside edge in. Okay, we were looking earlier at some of these moves from the inside edge or inside area to the outside edge, and then understanding about profit taking, etc. So yeah, so different ways and strategies looking at the market. But again, no matter what it is that you trade, you're going to be looking at and getting an edge in here in the order flow up here, okay, by understanding that context that we went through. Okay, like this one right here, this happens again and again and again. Look at them trade into here. You'll see them kind of push. You'll see traders like line up here that are willing to buy up here, and some of it transacted here, right into it here, right? But a lot of times it's to try to push price up higher, and you know, looking for this kind of breakout here, which, you know, may still unfold, but you know, now they're down here. We see traders down here and providing the high liquidity at 37. Okay, so anyway, understand these top edges in here, or bottom edges. You can see that not a whole, we see nice strong buying and strong moves on the way up, like we talked about, and then it kind of wanes up here and a little bit of volume up here. But look at the selling starting to come in, right? Look at the retest. Look where it retested here, back to here. Okay, these little areas and nuances will help you understand how these markets work, as well as optimize your entries and exits and your trade management. Okay, because that could be a pullback to get in, and then look for bottom edge or liquidity in some of these areas here. All right, guys. So yeah, thanks. And let's see. Tomorrow we have Jay Trader and Scott Pulcini on Thursday. Guys, if you like the video or the webinar here, please then hit the like button, because this is what helps us continue on, continue with this kind of content, as well as to get feedback to cover the things that you guys want, right? So that's kind of how I started the webinar, was asking for your feedback, and I got some nice feedback from yesterday, and that's what I went over. Okay, so it's by design. All right, thanks guys. Thanks Pedro. And how much is Bookmap Plus data? Depends. Noel, just go to bookmap.com here. Let me show you. Click on pricing, and then you can see the different versions in here. Let's go with monthly, global, and global plus. So this is for futures and stocks and crypto. Okay, but if you need that, if you're futures and stocks, you will need one of these two. So that's what Bookmap costs. Now the data costs are different. Depends on what you trade. Okay, if you're trading stocks, you can get it from DXFeed or you can get it from OmniFeed, with different price levels. We just had a special that we emailed out to you on OmniFeed. You might want to reach out to support on that, or maybe in the Discord channel, or maybe if you're signed up, then you'll see it in our email. I forget the details right now, but it was 3 months at a discounted price. So you might want to look into that for stocks. For futures, depends. If you're just trading the stock indexes, you only need CME. Okay, and you can get that from Rhythmic, from our Bookmap marketplace for $39. So if you are interested in just the basics, so it would be $40 for Rhythmic, it'd be $50 for Bookmap Global. You're up and running for $90 or $88 basically. Okay, so I hope that answers some questions. If you want the Global Plus version that you can trade from the Bookmap chart, and you want a full Rhythmic data, that would be $100 from Rhythmic for the data, and it would be $100 from Bookmap Global Plus. So that would be $200 a month. All right. And then, like I said, it really depends what it is you're looking for. All right, thanks guys, and we'll call it a day, and we'll catch up later. I'll be back on Friday, but thanks everybody. Hit the like button here, and we'll see you then. Okay, bye bye.